the story of Steam Powered Giraffe, written by Bennett Paige Law. In the late 1800s, two men of science formed an age-old dispute. They had always had many opportunities to compete, both being scientists and inventors. Throughout their years at university, the two were inseparable friends and colleagues, unparalleled by their fellow students in talent. But it wasn't just science that these men used to fuel their competition. It was something much more complex. It began when they met a woman, Delilah Moreau. Delilah, Thaddeus Besile, and Peter Walter were part of the society known as the Calvacadium, an elusive organization of great minds working together in the fields of science, arcana, alchemy, and art. Although she was a chemist, Delilah showed great interest in all scientific fields, and her bright-eyed wonderment made her very popular in the Calvacadium. There were many members of the society that sought after her, but Peter and Thaddeus displayed the most enthusiasm in their efforts. It began as an unspoken and friendly rivalry to gain the affections of the young miss, so rare in her beauty and brilliance. Ordinary men would have used flowers and chocolates in courting, but scientists and engineers, Thaddeus and Peter, used their whimsical inventions to woo Delilah, hoping to impress her with their brilliance. As time wore on, and Delilah's neutrality persisted, the already lucrative endeavors of the inventors escalated. At one convention, Thaddeus introduced to the society a theory he had formed based on colleague Taggart Babcock's discovery of underground rock candy deposits in Africa. Thaddeus called it green matter, a form of energy that is created using the edible green rock candy and the effect it produces. He proposed numerous ways that green matter could be used to fuel machinery, and more specifically, in the enhancement of weaponry. But Thaddeus' discovery was not well received. Peter Walter contested that green matter was too unstable of a power source and too mysterious to use. He suggested that further tests be done to flesh out what may or may not become the energy source of the future. Delilah agreed with Peter, and Thaddeus took that as a personal insult. Despite Peter Walter's initial dislike of the idea of green matter, he remained intrigued at the possibilities, and admittedly a little jealous that Thaddeus had discovered it. The rift that had formed between the two men years before was splitting them farther and farther apart, and their contention was no longer friendly. At the very next convention, a disheveled-looking Thaddeus unveiled his new invention, a behemoth copper African elephant, powered by the controversial green matter and controlled by a human counterpart. The elephant was leaps and bounds beyond any invention P.A. Walter had yet to come up with. It nearly won Delilah's heart, for she loved African animals, and the two kept up no semblance of friendship after that. In his attempt to outshine Thaddeus' copper elephant, Peter built a contraption of his own. It was a steam-powered robot giraffe that stood 136 feet high, or the equivalent of 8 average-sized giraffes stacked on top of each other. That in itself would have been an amazing feat, bound to win him glory at the society's next function. However, the way Peter powered the machine was equally as impressive. Intent upon making an energy source equivalent in power to green matter, but safer, he tapped into a similar energy source. He called it blue matter, and he theorized it was what bound reality together. Extremely powerful, but with Walter's ingenious patents, it could be channeled in many ways quite safely. Blue matter was used as an energy source for all of the robots that Walter eventually created. As if that wasn't enough, Peter also began the creation of 3 humanoid robots that could sing and play instruments without human control. The automatons were built to serenade Delilah, because it was rumored that she had a soft spot for music. Though Peter could not carry a tune and had no prowess in musical talent, he engineered the robots to be knowledgeable themselves, and he dreamed of one day striding atop his steam-powered giraffe with Delilah through the African savannah, enjoying the musical stylings of his singing automatons. In retaliation, Thaddeus installed a large phonograph on the back of his copper elephant. The human-like Walter automatons had their misfires, but the sonic blasts that emanated from Thaddeus's phonograph were disastrous, injuring many members of the society and decimating the Cavalcadium's meeting hall. Besile was banished from the society for his gross lack of judgment, and so it would have seemed that Peter Walter was the victor. He had proved that his energy source was more reliable and much less dangerous. In this area, he had won. Nevertheless, he hadn't yet won Delilah's affection.